All right, in this tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at exercise 2-1 for CAD 151. Now, in this tutorial, I'm going to cover a little bit more than just the exercise. We're going to talk a little bit about the software as we go in here as well. So first things first, I have my welcome screen. Or the start screen. This is what comes up when you first start AutoCAD. And on here, it gives you quick access to do a lot of the things that we need. The first thing that we want to take a look at is this exercise in inches or is it in metric? And since this one is in inches, I'm going to come under here under my templates, and I'm going to click to start with no template imperial. Once I click on this, it's going to come up and it's going to give me the AutoCAD drawing window. Down here is my command line. This is going to be very, very important. The command line tells you everything that the software is looking for. For example, right now it says to type a command. That's basically letting me know that no command has been input. It defaults to a single line. I have mine expanded just a little bit so that you all can see what's going on in the command line as I go through the tutorials. Up across the top, we've got all of our commands that we're going to use in AutoCAD, and along the bottom, we've got our tray, which gives us a bunch of different options, and we'll talk about those as we go. Now, for each command in AutoCAD, there is a button, a key-in command, and an alias command. So for example, for the line command, I can come up here and left-click on the line command to start the line command, or I can type L-I-N-E and then hit enter, and it'll bring up the line command, or I can hit L-enter, and it'll do the same thing. So for exercise 2-1, we're going to try to make this as simple as possible. We're going to use all of the tools that we have at our disposal, and I'm going to talk about the way that we input these things kind of as I go. So I'm going to start the line command, and my command line tells me to specify the first point. So I just left click on my screen, and that gives me the first point. Now, I have my heads up display turned on, so it is going to give me all of the information at the cursor. I can type in a distance and an angle. I can type in a whole bunch of different things. And if you're missing that, that's the dynamic input mode. If I turn that off, all of that information goes away. But I like to keep it on because it keeps my command line at the cursor. Now, what I'm going to do for most of this exercise is a process called direct distance entry. So when I come over here and I point straight to the right, I get this green line that goes all the way across my screen. That is actually the polar tracking for AutoCAD. If you don't get that green line that goes all the way across, it's this button down here, which is called polar tracking. If I turn that off now, you'll see that it doesn't give me anything when I get to that 0 degree mark. So I want to make sure that that is turned on. And then I'm just going to point the cursor in the direction that I want my line to go and type in the distance that I want it to be. So now that line is 6 inches. Then I can move my cursor straight up and type in 1, enter. If I point to the left, I can go 1.5, enter. Then move straight back up again, 1.5, enter. Now I can point to the right and type in the 1.5, enter again, or I can come down here and just hover, not click, over that endpoint. And as I move up, it gives me a green tracking line, and I can go up until I get the green tracking line that goes all the way to the right, and the green tracking line that comes up from that point, and that lets me know that I am lined up with that corner, so I can left click and continue. And then this is going to go up one more. Now for this distance coming back this way, we've got to do a little bit of math. So we've got a total length of 6 inches, and that line goes back to the point where it meets up with the angled line, which is 3.5 inches in. So 6 minus 3.5 is 2.5. So if I just type 2.5, enter, it gives me that next point. Now I have an angled segment that I need to do. And for angled segments, we're going to use coordinate entry or relative coordinate entry. If I think of the last point that I created, which is this point right here, as 0, 0, I can then figure out what this angle is using the dimensions in the book. It goes to the left 2 inches, so that's an x of -2, and it goes down 1.75 inches, so that is a -1.75. So if I type at, the at symbol basically says from this point right here, -2, -1.75, and hit enter, it'll give me that point. I can then hover over this endpoint and drag it across until I see the 2 green lines intersecting. and then I can hover over this point until I see the two green lines intersecting, left click to create that, and then left click to end this. So this is the first exercise, and if I want to verify the dimensions before I turn it in, I can left click here and just hover, and it'll show me that that is 6 inches. If I click on this line segment here and hover, it'll show me that that's 1. I can left click here and it'll show me, well, it's showing me on the wrong side, but it's 1.5. I can also click on this line to get that 1.5. But going through and verifying the dimensions, there's multiple ways to do it. You can use the method with the grips to just left click on it and that'll show you, or you can type DI enter, which is the distance command, and you can click the two endpoints of a line and it'll tell you at the cursor the distance is 3.5. So using the tools that you have, you can verify all of your dimensions before you turn it in, and that's something that I would absolutely recommend doing. And at this point, all I have to do is save this exercise and turn it in.